Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Presidents Biden and Trump were both given credit for the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire, and TikTok users are flocking to RedNote, another Chinese app, in case of the TikTok ban. Okay, let's get into it. A new round of frigid Arctic air will reach the central and eastern United States by the end of the week and continue into next week. Over the next few days, large swaths of the U.S. will see some of the coldest weather in a year in the U.S., with temperatures as low as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. Temperatures will briefly warm up across much of the central U.S. on Thursday and Friday before the extreme cold arrives. But this brief warm-up will only add to the intense feeling of extreme cold weather that will follow. The cold front, brought on by strong Arctic high pressure, will push southward through the plains and upper Midwest by Friday night and Saturday. It will continue to spread, reaching other parts of the Midwest, South, and Northeast Sunday through Tuesday. Temperatures will be 15 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit below average over a large area during the passage of the cold wave. For example, the high temperature in Bismarck, North Dakota has not been below freezing since last January, but with the arrival of cold winds next Monday morning, North Dakota's lows will reach 40 to nearly 50 degrees below zero, which could be life-threatening. Cold air will also hit the East Coast and southeastern U.S. on Monday. Highs in northern New England may be in the single digits or low teens. Tuesday is likely to be just as cold and possibly even colder in some areas, especially in the east and south. On Monday and Tuesday, lows will be in the low teens to low 20s across much of the south, with lows dropping to freezing or below freezing in parts of the Gulf Coast. And there's finally some good news about the wildfires. After more than a week into the fire that besieged the Los Angeles region, easing conditions will help crews battle the Los Angeles fires. The horrific fires are now waning, and fire crews got a days-long reprieve from the hot, dry winds that have fanned the flames that burned some 40,000 acres and killed at least 24 people. While the two biggest fires are still smoldering and will take weeks to extinguish, the cooler temperatures over the weekend should help firefighters make some good headway as they battle the blaze. And with the abrupt ending to so many places and memories in the Los Angeles area, Hollywood will usher in a new era also. President Trump has named Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone as special ambassadors to the new golden age of Hollywood. President Trump said that the three envoys will serve as his eyes and ears in Hollywood, advising him on strategies to revitalize the entertainment industry. A week ago, an action movie named A Working Man, written by Sylvester Stallone, released a trailer. The movie that will be released in March is about human trafficking run by government officials and the mob. And with the beginning of this new era in Hollywood, we say goodbye to longtime Hollywood icon, director David Lynch. Last year, he revealed that he was diagnosed with emphysema related to his smoking habit. In 2019, David Lynch was awarded an honorary Lifetime Achievement Oscar. He was most known for movies such as Dune in 1984 and Twin Peaks in 1989. The Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal is undoubtedly a major diplomatic achievement for the United States. The special envoys of both presidents were involved in the coordination and facilitation of the deal, so who deserves the credit? White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby said on Wednesday, "We're not focused too much on the credit. As the president said, we approach this as one team, a team of Americans to try to get Americans back home with their families, and that's what matters." A senior Biden administration official said that the cooperation between the two was almost unprecedented. Kirby said that it was the result of multiple efforts. Egypt, Qatar, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who made some courageous decisions throughout this negotiation, and there's plenty of credit to go around to everybody. Kirby also recognized President-elect Trump's incoming Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff as a key figure in brokering the deal. At points, Brett McGurk, the longtime Middle East negotiator for President Biden, and Witkoff divided up meetings across the Middle East to push the deal across the line. If McGurk focused primarily on the parameters of the deal, Witkoff was on hand to emphasize President Trump's desire to get it done before Inauguration Day. Kirby has repeatedly referred to bringing hostages home as a goal that was shared by both presidents and an expectation of all Americans. These two envoys also respect each other. Earlier this month, Witkoff said that Biden's team was the tip of the spear in the talks. Witkoff said, "No one has the pride of authorship. We are totally outcome-oriented. Let's get them home." IDF Reserve Brigadier General Amir Avivi said, "Two things changed regarding the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement after 15 months of conflict in the Middle East." Avivi told Your World on Wednesday, "This deal has been on the table since May last year, and Hamas opposed it completely. Why? There was no real pressure on Hamas. Israel wanted to stop some of the humanitarian aid, especially some of the gasoline, but the administration wouldn't let us do that. So Israel has no major leverage on them. So why did Hamas accept the deal now?" Avivi said, "What's changed is two things. One, Israel defeated Hezbollah, and Hezbollah cannot support Hamas anymore. Also, Syria fell, Iran is weaker, but the big change is President Trump's threat. Once President Trump threatened them that if they don't release hostages, there will be..." I think they understand that if they don't get a deal now, the chances of getting a good deal for them will be very, very low, if at all. It was not easy to reach the agreement, and there will be many challenges in the subsequent implementation process. Kirby shared that he is confident that the deal will be implemented. The agreement is set to take effect on Sunday, just one day before President Trump's inauguration. And on Wednesday, President Biden delivered his farewell speech from the Oval Office as he prepares to hand over power on Monday to President Trump. In his speech, President Biden highlighted the concentration of power and wealth in the U.S. among a handful of people.
"I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous concentration, and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America."
Reuters reported that TikTok Incorporated plans to shut down the TikTok app for U.S. users starting on Sunday. At that point, a federal injunction will go into effect unless the Supreme Court takes action to block its enforcement. White House officials say that President Biden has no plans to intervene in the final days of his term to block the ban. If the Supreme Court does not act, Biden is legally unable to intervene if there's no solid plan for ByteDance to divest itself of TikTok. The U.S. law doesn't require TikTok to shut down. It only requires a ban on downloading TikTok from the Apple or Google app stores, and existing users can continue to use TikTok for now. If the ban is lifted later, TikTok will be able to resume services to U.S. users in a relatively short period of time. Some users who are used to TikTok are worried that they won't be able to use the app anymore. So they've started rushing to another Chinese app called RedNote, or Xiaohongshu in Chinese. The literal translation of Xiaohongshu is Little Red Book. Those users call themselves TikTok refugees. By Monday, TikTok refugees had pushed Xiaohongshu to the top of the free app chart on Apple's App Store. RedNote is a popular lifestyle sharing platform in China. Its name is reminiscent of the Little Red Book that was issued during the Cultural Revolution in China, which featured quotations from Mao Zedong, who is the most famous dictator of the Chinese Communist Party. However, at present, most of the content shared on RedNote is the daily content of eating, drinking, and having fun. The presentation includes pictures, videos, and live streaming. The Wall Street Journal wrote, Xiaohongshu may be new to most Americans, but in China, it is one of the most used social media apps. Backed by investors like Chinese tech giants Tencent Holdings and Alibaba Group, Xiaohongshu is perhaps best described as a Chinese mix of Instagram and Reddit. and its users increasingly treat it as a search engine for practical information. By the beginning of 2023, nearly 90% of RedNote's traffic came from China. U.S. users accounted for only 2.4%. Of course, the current wave of U.S. users switching to RedNote from TikTok is likely to change that ratio. But unlike TikTok, which is split into two apps, one serving China and one serving the international market, RedNote, on the other hand, has only one Chinese app for the global market. However, there are Chinese and English interfaces. The Wall Street Journal has pointed out that RedNote is a more Chinese app than TikTok. China's social media platforms must pay close attention to political content. Compared to other social media outlets, RedNote focuses on lifestyle content and it eschews anything that might seem political. This makes it less of a regulatory target. But this does not mean that there is freedom of speech on this platform either. In an article on Advocate.com, a TikTok user returned to the platform to share her experience on RedNote. She was blocked for posting a selfie with her breasts slightly exposed in a video that referred to the plight of transgender people. A former Chinese media worker in the U.S. says that the wave of escaping to RedNote from one Chinese-run U.S. prison, meaning TikTok, over the wall to another Chinese-run Chinese prison, meaning RedNote, looks hilarious. In the report, Bloomberg noted that Americans signing up for RedNote immediately enter Beijing's walled garden. The report suggests that the Chinese government may soon intervene in the direct communication between the many American users on RedNote and their Chinese counterparts. Many exchanges that seem perfectly normal to ordinary Americans can be dangerous in the eyes of the Chinese government. For example, many American users communicate with Chinese users on RedNote on topics including minimum wage and benefits, labor hours, or criticism of the government. And Chinese users are surprised that Chinese people realize that the U.S. is free to criticize the government. Other people say that the CCP's lies are about to be exposed. Information coming out of RedNote's internal channels say that RedNote is working overtime to develop a shielding function so that Chinese and foreign users can't see what each other sends, or reduce the frequency of interactions in order to cope with regulatory requirements. On Wednesday, Canada released its first report on unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, in decades. The highly anticipated report makes several bold recommendations, including that cases should be officially investigated in the country. The recommendations are part of a preliminary report from the Sky Canada Project. The Canadian government launched the Sky Canada Project in 2022 to investigate unidentified flying object sightings in Canada. This is the first UFO research activity taken by the Canadian government in nearly 30 years. CTV obtained a copy of the 16-page report more than 2 years after the Sky Canada Project was launched. The acronym UAP is used throughout the report to stand for Unidentified Aerial or Anomalous Phenomenon. They are also known as UFOs. The most important recommendation of the report was a call for the Canadian government to establish a dedicated agency to manage and analyze UAP data. The report argues that a more structured approach to the management of UAP reporting in Canada would be beneficial on many grounds, but the focus of the Sky Canada project is not on proving the existence of extraterrestrial life. The report's opening message states, accordingly, this report focuses on the services available to the Canadian public for reporting UAPs and not on the UAPs themselves. The Sky Canada project is not about investigating what UAPs are, but at least being willing to face these phenomena of UAPs is an improvement. It was only after decades of denial of UAP by the U.S. authorities that NASA and the Pentagon and U.S. lawmakers have recently publicized their efforts to investigate UAP. The Pentagon has even established a UAP research organization called the All-Area Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Unless there's a clear security concern, Canadian authorities tend not to conduct official investigations or follow-ups on UAP cases, resulting in most cases not receiving any official explanation. The Sky Canada Project report confirms reports of UAP sightings are not further analyzed unless they are deemed to pose safety or security risks. Individuals reporting sightings rarely receive follow-ups. Conservative MP Larry Maguire has been a public advocate for research efforts similar to the Sky Canada Project since 2022. The Manitoba lawmaker told CTV News, the Sky Canada Project represents the first substantive attempt to study how Canada can best respond to reports of UAP. The haphazard nature of our current approach to UAP monitoring and reporting leaves too much room for speculation. The proposal by Sky Canada Project was also welcomed by Winnipeg science writer and UFO researcher Chris Rutkowski. He has been studying Canadian eyewitness cases for more than 30 years. Rutkowski said, regardless of whether UAP turn out to be drones, aircraft, stars, or satellites, the fact that the average Canadian, as well as trained observers such as pilots and police, file UAP reports shows that there is a need for serious, objective, and scientific study of these persistent phenomena. Earnscliffe Strategies, a Canadian public relations and communications firm, conducted a poll last August. The survey found that more than a quarter of the respondents, 27%, had personally witnessed an unidentified flying object. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth.